Hello friends, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon. I have something special to show you. This is a deck, a very limited run deck, produced by Shel David and Marco Benedetti. I believe there are only 20 of this run in existence, and I have one of them. And there has been another run of this deck by a different creator. I did notice that online, but this is by two brilliant tarot historians and creators, and I'm just so excited and thrilled to show it to you. This is a deck that was originally created around 1668, an old deck. And I'll have to admit, it's not a very pretty deck. It's not a cleaned up deck. It is a facsimile. And it is created by, they thought it was one creator, but some years ago, they discovered that this was actually a combined deck of two creators. One of them is Guilaume Dubesset, and one of them is Claude Valentin. Yeah? And I love the idea of this deck, not because it's two creators, although that is very intriguing. You don't see too many decks produced that way. And it is a full deck with the two decks combined. There are about 22 cards from, let's see, which of those decks? 26 cards from the Claude Valentin, and the rest of them are from the Guilaume Dubesset deck. At least that's what the running theory is. So one reason I love this, the idea of this deck, is the amount of black in the deck. There's a lot of black left over. Now, I don't know why it's black. Was it originally black? Was it originally silver that tarnished to black? We'll have to use our imaginations, I think, but it's a very interesting deck. So what am I going to do? I'm going to turn the camera down and I'm going to give us a walkthrough of this deck before I use it for the first time. So here we go. Take a look at this deck with me. Friends, before we dive into the deck, let me read a little bit from the notes that I have about the deck. So as I said, this was originally thought as a uniform set. Now, but people noticed that there might be some slight differences in the backings. And then Stephen Mangan noted in an email from 2022 that it is not a uniform deck. It's a mix of different cards to make up the whole set. The note on the Two of Cups says that there is a double-headed eagle with the initials CV. Now, this is the emblem and the initials of Claude Valentin, who is listed as the Joueur of Maitre Quartier of Lyon in a list of Quartier of Lyon in 1668, which is probably where we got that date. The initials on the chariot, NR, are possibly those of Nicolas Rolichon, a very famous Quartier. Now, Thierry de Pauli, in an email from February 2022, says that he agrees. And he saw the cards years ago, and he realized that there were two sets, slightly different back patterns, 52 belonging to Dubesset, but the remaining 26 must be CV, so Claude Valentin. These have a better design, and all their captions are correct, whereas the Dubesset cards are coarser and their captions are somewhat awkward. So that's some information to keep in mind as we begin looking at this deck. Now, this deck, again, came from Shel David and Marco Benedetti. And I'll put a link to Marco Benedetti's shop. He's got an Etsy shop, and I'll put a link to his shop. Now, this deck I'm sure is not available there, but he has other stuff that is just gorgeous. So this is how the deck arrived for me. It was wrapped in this wonderful paper, which has, I should say, the prints from a different deck, and I'm not sure, it's a type 1 deck, clearly, maybe a Dodal. probably, oh, look, there's another, oh, there are two, I didn't notice that. There are two sheets here. I don't know how well you're able to see these, but yeah, you see the Cupid here? This is a type 1 Cupid. Yeah? Also the moon. You notice the moon, front-facing moon, type 1. Also, the devil is a type 1 devil. So we've got a very type 1 style deck here with printed on these sheets. The deck that we're going to be looking at is also a type 1 deck from what I recall. So this came to me in this beautiful box. Now this box is a 2-part box in a very unique way. Yeah, it's got a sleeve inside. And we take off this wonderful top sleeve and we get into the bottom sleeve, which tells us that this is the Tarot de Marseille, Guilaume Dubesset, and Claude Valentin from Lyon, between 1680 and 1690, according to this information on the box. Shell David, Marco Benedetti. We see this is number 10 of 20, lucky card right smack down in the middle, created in Roma, and allowed to be printed by the trustees of the British Museum. So, this is a very, very unique and difficult to find deck, and so I'm going to show it to you. Let me put the box aside and let's get into the cards. They have the Fool at the top, which is fine. Now, you'll notice that, like I said, there's a lot of black in this deck. Blacks and browns. Love the wing at the top of the Fool's head here, giving us that idea of flight, of air, of openness, of freedom, perhaps. This almost looks like a sun instead of a hill to me. Does that look that way to you? So we've got the creature coming from the left. This is going to be a beautiful deck. Now, I didn't show you the backs. The backs of the deck look like the box, basically. Right? So, I believe this is an original back from the original deck. Now, I'm not sure if we'll notice any differences in the backings as we go along. We'll see. But so we went from the Fool, we go to the World. So this deck apparently is ordered somewhat backwards. But look at the black cape and the black on the wings here of the eagle, the cloak of the angel, Le Monde. Okay. We have Le Jugement. Look at the, I love the expression on the face of the angel. A little bit blissed out in a way to me. And we've got the 3 figures at the bottom with gold in the coffin. Yeah, we've got gold wings, we've got gold rays coming off of the angel, we've got a gold flag, and the coffin, or the space that the blue figure is rising from, is also gold, which is interesting. Okay, sorry. I'm going to try to be more careful for us here. The cardstock. The cardstock is very papery, but fine. I didn't think to... Okay, so for size, I have a US Games size deck. This is Tarot of the Cat People right here. So it's about, actually, standard tarot sized. It's just a hair thinner and a hair shorter, but pretty standard size. It feels smaller though in my hands. So we have the next card as Le Soleil. You'll notice that the numbers are additive, coming for the 19. So instead of being XIX, it's XVI. We got the 2 apparently male figures here at the front. We have a very, I don't know, spacey looking sun at the top of the card. And the moon, look at that. Look at the black band there at the edge of the water. Another spacey looking figure in the moon card. Zoned out, perhaps a little bit on a high of some sort. We've got 2 different colored towers, which I love here. One light and one gold, maybe gold and silver. You could read alchemy into that, right? No red on the crustacean coming from the bottom. La Lune. Les Troyers, les Troyers, les Troyers, les Troyers. with a period. Interesting. Notice the black around one of the urns, right? Red band on one urn, no band on the other. We've got an ibis in the tree. Lovely, lovely card. Lovely card. And notice where one of her breasts seems to be planted. One of her breasts looks like it's coming off of her right arm, doesn't it? That's interesting. I haven't seen that before. Then we got La Maison Dieu. Notice the black band at the top of the castle being blasted off. We got the fire that looks like it's coming from inside the tower instead of being beamed down from the stellar object above. Lovely. La Maison Dieu with a period. And then we have Le Diable. Le Diable. Beautiful, beautiful. Red breasts, face in the stomach. Yeah. Notice a black bit to the pedestal below. The black wand being held in the left hand of the devil. Tongue is sticking out. You can see the tongue, but it's not colored red. Lovely, lovely imps. One imp looks perhaps more female. One imp looks perhaps more male. I think that's up to the eye of the beholder. Le Diable. Here we have Temperance. Beautiful card. A little bit smudgy, right? But the drawing is beautiful. Notice the amount of black there on the overgarment. And we have the two urns. It's very difficult to discern the water flowing between them, but we see that there is water there, right? And this is 14, so the 4 is an additive number, 4 ones instead of an IV. Okay, Temperance. Okay, so now look at this. This is very interesting. Yeah, usually card 13 is unnamed in later decks, but this one, we have a name right there with the 13. Instead of having the name down at the bottom, like here, Temperance, we have the name up there squished in with the number 13. La Mors. La Mors. Instead of La Mort, we have La Mors, which is interesting. And you'll notice that the faces here at the bottom, they're not colored in, right? There's a patch of gold instead of black up on the ground, which is interesting with this deck having so much black in it. There is no black in the death card, in card 13. But this one says La Mors. And then one of my favorite cards in the deck, Le Pendu. Now you'll notice that the number is wonky, right? Instead of XII, it's IIX. So some people might want to read it this way. In fact, some decks place the Le Pendu in this position. But of course, I believe that it's just an error in printing. And so the Le Pendu is like this. Blonde hair, apparently. Lovely, lovely card. A little fuzzy, right? But a lovely card. And this looks like green, black pants. But we don't see this green very often in most Tarot de Marseille decks. It looks green to me. Does it look green to you on camera? Right here by the arms and at the bottom of the two side posts. It looks like a forest green to me. And La Force, look at that black gown. Yeah, we've got the hat above, a touch of gold right, peeking out from beneath her overdress. A little bit of a green sleeve here and a black sleeve there. Red cape, lovely card. Lovely. La Force, 2 extra periods, extra dots galore. And La Robe de Fortune, a little bit of black here, a little bit of black up on what we assume would be a sphinx, but who knows what this is. We got a donkey coming up and maybe a monkey with a human face coming down. A crank, we are missing the crank going, or the axle going all the way to the other side of the wheel here, which is very common, right? Looks like a bit of a mountain there in the background, doesn't it? And it's very difficult to see the 10 at the top. So, l'ermite, no H. L'ermite, we've got all of these layers of robes here. We've got a very interestingly shaped lantern too. Can you see the cane? The cane is black. There's an olive green here in perhaps his tunic underneath all of those cloaks. Beautiful, beautiful. The expression on his face is wonderful. And the hand holding the lantern. Roughly done, but still beautifully done. And 9, again, V-I-I-I, right? And justice, justice. Black cape, black dress, I should say, black skirt, and also a black sleeve on one side. The thing behind the justice figure could be a cape, could be cloth hung from the wall, who knows? We can see both of the scales here. Very interestingly colored clothing, right? And you notice the band of red at the top of her, what becomes a crown at the top, right? The justice. And les charrois. And here we have that NR for Rolichon. Nicolas Rolichon. Maybe. Love the face. 3 of the posts are black at the top and 1 is brown. A little bit of splotches of brown on the horses. Horses have headbands in this one, right? A little bit of black on the ground, black and gold, but that black is very faded, whereas this black is very strong, which is what makes me think that maybe, I've not heard this from anybody else, and I'm probably wrong, but it makes me think that this was originally silver that has tarnished to black, because this black is so strong, whereas this black down here at the bottom has faded over time. You know what I'm saying? Okay, le mort. Look at the faces of these women. We've got a little bit of diversity here, maybe. Yeah? We've got brown faces on both of the women. Beautiful. And we have a brown Cupid above, blindfolded, facing forward, in that funky, almost Noblet style burst of energy around the Cupid. Lovely. The face of the guy standing in between them is a little bit freaked out. Okay, now look at this. It's instead of l'amour, this is l'amoureux with an EUX, making me think that this may, but it's la, so it should be singular, not plural. But okay, so like the note I read said, the grammar in this deck is a little bit wonky. And I don't know French that much, so that well. Now, one thing that is that I love about the Noblet is how weird the Cupid's butt is. And this deck has that weird Cupid's butt as well. Interesting. And here we have le pape. Le pape. So we've got 2 acolytes, maybe 3. If you think this is a third person, then there are 3. If you think this is the hat of this person, then there are 2. We got the gesture of blessing. We got the crosses on the gloves. It's all there. Instead of a cross, we have a crozier with what looks like a little bit of a banner hanging off of it, doesn't it? Right here at the side of the crozier. That's interesting. And again, a lot of black in this card. Le pape. Now, if this was a silver painted deck, that would have been really interesting. L'empereur, interesting. You got the 4 up there in the sky, and the legs in the shape of a 4, of course. Eagle on the shield. Lovely card. Very strong, very stern looking face, right? Lovely crown. I love the crown hat on this emperor. And what was probably a 4, doesn't it look a little bit like a cross in this deck? Maybe this deck did misread what that was supposed to be, and maybe they did just etch a cross in there instead of a 4, which makes a very interesting doubling of this cross and this cross instead of this 4 and this 4. Here we have l'impératrice. She kind of looks like she has a beard, or she maybe looks like she might be, I don't know, Muslim, maybe, yeah? Maybe that's her veil. I know I'm reading this from a very modern context, but I'm speaking from a very modern context, and women in the Middle Ages wore veils, so that wouldn't necessarily mean Muslim. Christian women wore veils back then too, so I'm being silly. Anyways, so all of this black is beautiful. Browns, lovely, lovely, lovely card. I'm thinking of using this card in my next edition, my next video for Le Pendu dans le Sacre de Lune. I'm thinking of using it for this next week, just saying. So that's why I wanted to do this video right away. Here we have La Papesse. Lovely card. Very, a lot of colors in her clothes, right? We've got what looks like a greenish to me. We got black, we've got red, what looks like a steel gray, light steel gray. Gold, of course, white, so many colors. And so we have Le Batelier, Le Batelier. What do we have on the table? So we've got a wand in the hand. The wand is complete. We have cups. We have dice, it looks like. We have daggers. Coins, perhaps. Coins, dice, hard to say. A purse right there at the side. We got a little bit of a plant growing up between his legs. How many legs to the table? 1, 2. And 2 of the legs of the table are colored in. The third is the same color as the background. And there's no 4th leg as usual. Par usual. Notice also that the foot of 1 foot is white and 1 foot is gold. Interesting. We've also got a bit of a white band here. Okay, so here we're going to go backwards with, I probably should have put this back in a different order, but we're going to go with the way that I received it. We have the Roi de Coupe. Notice the S is backwards here on the Coupe. Roi de Coupe. Covered cup, black dress with the bits of red and gold. Love the crown. Love the crown. Notice the star here in the Roi de Coupe. There was no star for the king, right? There's a star. She's the star. Oh, I've not seen this, or at least I haven't noticed it in other decks. There's a cross on her either necklace or her collar here. Do you see that? And the Chevalier de Coupe, notice the color here. Now we've got a gold band behind the border, behind the title for the Chevalier de Coupe. Very long flowing hair. Some decks this looks like he's got a hat. This just looks like long flowing hair to me. Red inside the cup, lovely. Black. Now again, the black ground is faded, whereas this black is so strong. And the Valet de Coupe, again, the coupe, the S is backwards. Faded face, but look at that expression. And the, what is that called? The epaulette? No, it's not the epaulette. There's a name for that piece of cloth that hangs over the front and back of a person's clothes in this period, and I forget the name of it, but it's covering the chalice. Anyways. Brown glove, holding what looks like the hat to this person rather than the cap to the cup. 10 of cups. We've got a number on the 10 of cups here. Often the numbers on the cups are left off, right? And here we have the 9, printed very strangely, right? V, I, backwards. And notice the restraint of color in the floral decorations in this deck, on this card. And here we have the 8 of cups. Yeah, 8. Now this one looks right. Yeah, either way you turn it, 8. However, the 9 is just wrong, right? That often happens. It really does often happen, doesn't it? No number on the 7, which is interesting. We had 1 number on the 9, 2 numbers on the 8, none on the 7. They ran out of numbers, I guess. And again, very restraint restrained color on the floral decorations. 6. Okay, so the 6. 6. 6. 2 of them, and in the correct order. 6 of Cups is one of my favorites. 5. How many 5s do we have? We got 2 5s. More color now. In the lower in number we go, the more color we had in the decorations, right? The 6 had more color. The 5s have more. I imagine the 4s will have more color as well. There we go. 4s. 4 I's instead of an IV. The 3s. And this has either the yellow and blue mixed to create green, or, yeah, that's probably what happened. Yeah, this steel blue and the gold got mixed to create a greenish color. And the 2. And here we have that CV, right? CV for, what is the guy's name again? It's Claude Valentin. Lovely card. Beautiful card. Okay. And the ace. Look at all of the black on that ace. Again, making me think that this might have been silver. Now, gold is expensive. Silver at this time is expensive, but not for bits like this on a card that are printed. I'm not sure it would have put this this deck at a higher, more luxe end of mass-produced decks of the period. I mean, for what the period mass production would have been the high end, but I don't think it would have been out of the reach of the merchant classes. I think, that's just my thought. A little bit of splotchy background in the, notice that here? Making it feel very real, right? Here we go with the Roi d'Épée, the King of Swords. Again, look at all of that black on his clothes. Sword, extra dagger on the side. Roi d'Épée. Interesting spelling here, right? And this queen also has a star. I wonder if all the queens have stars. Roi d'Épée, extra E, d'Espée. Oh no, there were 2 E's on both. I'm sorry. Moving right along. Look at the decoration on her bodice here. Beautiful. And it looks like she's got a belt here, right? Love the green sleeves. And the Chevalier d'Espée. Almost looks like an F at the end instead of an E. Lovely. Kind of a tough-looking knight there, right? He's on a mission. Love the steel blue, I should say, horse here too, with the gold plating here, or maybe brown plating, maybe leather, to protect the horse in battle. And the valet d'Espée. No feet on this valet. The feet have sunk into the ground. Brown hair, yeah, brown on the cloak, a little bit of black on the clothes. If that were silver, it would have been so shiny and pretty. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just black. Maybe I'm just imagining things. But it reminds me of the Visconti Sforza, right? Where there was a lot of silver on the Visconti Sforza deck and it turned black. That's what keeps coming to mind. Love this card. So the 10 of Swords. We notice that the swords don't seem to be going within the swords here. You know what I mean? Usually the sword goes inside of this sword here and then peeks out from the other side. You know what I'm saying? Here they're just kind of laid on top. What is this? The 9 of Swords. V-I-I-I-I. The numbers are correct on both sides. Here's the 8 of Swords with the flower in the center. We've got red on this side and then gold on this side. So red comes down to gold, red comes up to gold. And we have, so the 7, look at that. Here's another wonky number, the 7. Instead of VIII, it's IIV on this side and on this side. And this, oh, so these swords, this guy, these swords might be upside down. Okay, so I don't know. So let's do this. I'm gonna put this guy here. This is definitely upside down. Okay, so we have the 6. The 6 is, the number is correct. Flower should be pointing up in my book. And the 5 of swords. Lovely. Notice the background printing, right? This looks like there was an error in printing. It was printed, maybe there wasn't enough ink on the block, so they inked up the block and printed it again, right? There's a little bit of a shadow there behind here, right? Here. Interesting. And I think it's the same card. It looks like the same card to me. Okay, here we have the 4. Beautiful. Flower pointing up. A little bit more color here. The 3. And the 2. Look at that color in the 2. Look at the flower in the center, bursting with life. In a protected space. And finally the ace. Oh, look at that. A brown hand holding a beautiful sword. We got 2 different kinds of plants coming out from the top of the crown. We got no color in the flames or the energy or whatever we want to call it coming, or which are dancing around the sword. Interesting restraint of color there. And here we have the King of Coins. A little fuzzy, brown beard, yeah, a little bit of red splotchiness right here on the coin. And you'll notice that his feet are uncolored. Interesting coloring of the chair too. We got a back leg that makes sense, but then this thing here, is it a leg? Is it his cloak? What is it? And the line, okay, so no star on the Rien de Denier. No star here. Rien de Denier. Rien de Denier. I don't know what that means, but she's the Queen of Coins. A lot of black in her. And the Chevalier de Denier. Yeah, instead of DE, we have ED here. It's so interesting. It's like, check your work. Beautiful card. Again, ground is very faded, but the black here on the clothes is very strong. Also, the black in the coin is very faded too, right? Oh, now here we have a backward name. We have the, what is it? Valet de Denier. It does have it there, but it's backwards. You need to hold it up to a mirror. Look at the color on his face. And his hands. Coin on the ground, coin in the air in his hand, but the ground is very plain, right? Oops, sorry. Got a little overexcited there. Let's see. He should go this way. And here we have the 10 of coins. Beautiful card. Loveliness. No numbers on the coins, it looks like. We had numbers on the cups, but no numbers on the coins. We have to count the coins on our own. You have the 9. Lovely. The 8. A little bit more color showing up in the 8, in the floral decorations. Here we have the 7. Very clean looking card, the 7, right? Compared to the others. Do you notice any difference in the backings? I don't, but probably Marco Benedetti and Shel David just decided to use one back for the whole deck, which would make sense, right? And here we have the 6 of Denier. A little bit smudgy, but good, nice. Here we have the 5. I should take this out. We've got a little bit of shadow on the deck because the back, this one has gotten too high. And the 4. Look at that shield with the 2 moons and the star. Not a very common looking shield. Usually, oftentimes there will be the initials of somebody here. Or maybe a fleur de lis or something. But here we've got what looks like maybe mountains, maybe 2 upward turned moons and a star. Interesting. For the 4. For the 3, very plain looking 3. I don't know why this 3 looks so different. Well, the coins look like they're differently colored a little bit. The 3 looks very different to me. Does it look different to you? And I'm not sure, I can't put my finger on why it looks different, why it looks differently colored. And here we go. Okay, so the 2 of coins. What do we have here? We have Guilaume Dubesset à Lyon. And the N is kind of wonky. Now the N should be like this, but the N is backwards. Interesting. Okay, so the Ace of Coins, all of that beauty right there. Red dot in the center, a little bit of black coming out. And here we are with our final suit, the Baston. Roi de Bastons. A very handsome looking guy. Black here on the chair, black of the staff. Usually not black, right? Black staff. Wonderful hat crown. No star on the rien. So the star was only for the cups and the swords, right? Yeah, it was only for the cups and the swords, which is interesting. Rien de Baston. Very clean looking card, right? The clothes look, it almost looks restored or redrawn. How clean the lines are and how clean the colors are within the lines, how the clothes just make absolute sense. So this looks like a very differently produced card to me. Does it look differently produced to you? Here we are with the Chevalier de Baston. Now this one, beautiful. Look at all the intricate work on the armor here. But it's smudgy. It's a little bit messy, right? A little bit difficult to tell. Well, so this is the leg, and the color seems to be outside of the line work for the leg. Love the flame at the top of the baton, though. Baston. De Baston. There's no N. There's no N. There's an N in the queen. There's an NS in the king. Bastons. For the queen, it's baston. For the knight, it's baston. Chevalier de Baston. And the valet de baston. N is back. Beautiful work, but the color is a little bit smudgy, right? Interesting. And here we are with the 10 of Wands. This looks very, I don't know. Maybe it's because these are white. It just seems like it's lighter. It looks like there's less color here, to me. The 9 of Baston. No red down there at the bottom, but red at the top, if this is the top. The 8 of Baston. Numbers are still good. There aren't that many numbers which are wonky, but the ones that are wonky are really, really wonky. Oh, here we go. Speak of the devil and he appears. The 7s are backwards again. 7. Should be VIII. Should be VII, but this is IIV. In both directions. Whereas the 6 is fine. And the 5, look at that. Darker background, right? Looks like an older paper cardstock. The 4. Look at that. The flower at the top looking like a bulb. Lovely. And you'll notice the background. There's a background printing left over here. And it looks like it was from a 4. It looks like it was a reprinting, like there wasn't enough ink on the 4 and they printed right back over it. Maybe this and this flower, I don't know. I don't know. It almost looks like this flower was up here, right? Like it was upside down too. Interesting. And the 3 of Wands. Lovely. Little splotches here in the background, giving it a little bit of an antique look. The 2 of Wands are fabulous. And finally, the Ace of Wands. Yes, the Ace of Wands. All black and beautiful. With a brown hand coming out of the sky. These bits of fire are colored in. I want to go back to the Ace of Swords if I can find it. Where are you, Ace of Swords? Yeah, see what I'm talking about? The Ace of Swords, the fire bits are not colored in, whereas the Ace of Wands, some of them, the majority of them are colored in. So that's an interesting difference too, right? The color of the hands are a little bit different. The colors of the hands are a little bit different. Very interesting deck, don't you think? I hope you think so. I think so. That's why I got it. And so, yeah, this is a beautiful thing. This is an absolutely beautiful thing. And I'm going to use it for this week's reading for my series Le Pendu dans le cercle de lune, which gives me a precise or a more concise message from my larger weekly spread. So you might want to, if you have not subscribed to my channel and hit the alarm bell, you might want to do that so you know when that video is uploaded and you see this deck more in action. But I'm going to try shuffling this for you just to see. We have sharp corners. It's a square cut deck, but the cardstock I think is going to be very easy to shuffle. Let me try an overhand first. And let me try pulling a couple of cards. Let's see. So, what would we benefit from knowing in the coming week? What would we benefit from knowing in the coming week? So overhands beautifully. Let's see how well it riffle shuffles. Now, you'll notice that this is it's a machine cut deck. Hand machine cut deck. Here we go. Oh. Now, so there's no core to this cardstock, but it riffle shuffles beautifully. I want to be careful. Like I said, there are only 20 of these printed. So I don't want to be crazy when I riffle shuffle, but I'm not going to not use this deck. You know what I'm saying? What would we benefit from giving our attention to this week? So instead of doing my full shuffle, I'm telling the deck right now what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to count and pull the 8th card. And I'll cut the deck and I'll pull the top card, the 8th card, and then the 16th card. That's how we're going to do this. What would we benefit from giving our attention to in the coming week? What would we benefit from giving our attention to in the coming week? I'm hoping that there's going to be at least one major here. What would we benefit from giving our attention to in the coming week? So, from left to right. 1. Oh, the wonky Valier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So we've got perhaps our older and younger selves facing off here in the realm of earth and coin and money. The one who is learning how to do what he, she, they want to do, and the one who's out there doing the work, the daily grind. So we want to have a balance between those two. Our two aspects of self. The one learning and exploring, and the one keeping the routine, doing the daily work, being the Virgo. Yeah? And those will lead us to a possibility of having a very balanced, secure mental space that enjoys experiencing the thoughts that we have, that has a very calm but fertile mind that has life growing within it. Does that make sense to you? Now, we will enjoy thinking the thoughts that we have. We will have balance in our thoughts if we are able to combine those two aspects of ourselves. The student, the learner of stuff, and the doer of stuff will give us that balance that most of us are aching for in our lives. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to keep our minds clean? By doing this. So there we are. That's the reading for us for this week. And I love how these two face each other. I love how they face off. And I love how this knight is really looking at the coin, but also looking at the valet. Now there's a communication. The valet is a little bit zoned out, maybe thinking deep thoughts like we have here, but they are in communication, right? Beautiful, beautiful deck. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Again, in the description box, I'll give you a link to Marco Benedetti's Etsy shop. So you can check out the other decks that he does have in hand to sell. He does wonderful work. But this is just a special thing in my library. And I'm really looking forward to using this deck this week. So friends, thank you for coming along with me on this journey. And I hope you enjoyed looking at this deck. I've got 2 more decks that are going to be coming from Marco Benedetti. I've got a Payan deck that's going to be coming from him. And I've also got a Minchiate deck. I finally decided to get his Minchiate deck to round out my small library of Minchiate decks. I've got 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 decks right now. So this will be the 4th and probably the last one that I'm going to actively be searching out. I think 4 Minchiate decks in my library is going to be plenty. So I've got those. If you want to see walkthroughs of those decks, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit the alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. Hit the thumbs up button so that YouTube knows that you like this and other people would like this. It really helps the channel. And if you want a reading from me, my email address is below. thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com. Shoot me an email, we'll get you a reading with either Tarot de Marseille or a Smith-Waite deck or whatever you want. I can match your needs. And friends, thank you. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.